everybody, and welcome to our inaugural Meet the Authors from the DevOps Agile Skills Association. My name is Deborah Burton, and I'm the Managing Director, and I am so excited to be joined by not only a wonderful author, but friend and colleague, Niels Loader, the author of this wonderful you must read book, The Lean IT Expert, Leading the Transformation to High Performance IT. Thank you, Niels. Thank you for being here, and thank you for joining us. Okay. So for us, this is a very exciting time because it's the first time that we're launching our Meet the Authors program. So I felt that your book and you were the perfect candidate for the work that you've done, not only in the Lean IT space with the Lean IT Association, but also with the DASA DevOps space, the DASA DevOps Agile Skills Association, and the work that you contributed there. So it's a real privilege to be working with you again here.
Thank you very much.
So for our audience, for some of them that may not know you, I find that hard to believe with your background and your expertise. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm Niels Loader. I've been working in the field of IT for the last 25 years, and I basically grew up through helping people to implement processes and then improve them substantially using lean principles. I've been an IT manager, I've been a business systems manager, and I've fulfilled a number of different roles at client organizations, and these days I focus much more on helping leaders to understand what is the step that they need to make in moving their organizations forward into the lean era.
Well, what brought you to the world of IT in the first place? Was it in university? Was it a book you read, a person you met?
It was I suppose the fact that I graduated as a geologist, geophysicist, at a moment that a barrel of crude oil was about $8 to $12.
Okay.
And nobody was waiting for a geologist, a starting geologist.
Oh.
And I'd done a lot of IT stuff, programming and these kind of things in my college stuff. And based on that, I moved into IT and haven't looked back since. It's been great fun.
Well, you know, in both of the organizations that we both had the privilege of working in, the Lean IT Association and now the DevOps Agile Skills Association, we talk a lot about IT transformation and change. What do you see that's really driving that?
The real drive is the explosion in demand for IT services, products and services, principally caused by mobile phones or smartphones. I think now, if you look, most people have 2-3 devices. Maybe you've got a laptop, you've got a tablet, you've got a mobile phone, you may well have a watch. All these things are causing a huge increase, and almost an exponential increase in the use of IT services. Now, because there are so many groups of people who all want different things, the IT services providers need to meet these demands. Across the world, there may be 100,000 people who want a particular app. Now, if you look just in a single country, there may only be 1,000 of them. But because it's a global industry, we see that there are many more niche markets that need to be dealt with, and need to be dealt with quickly. And this is causing us to need to develop IT services, products and services much more quickly. And the best way to do that is using lean principles.
So how do organizations that have worked in a very traditional IT way of working for many years, large established enterprises, how do they get their people from point A to point B to be able to be more lean and work in a lean way?
Well, that's obviously the million or $100 million question. It's the one that everybody's trying to answer, and I think it's The simple answer is, well, plug away at it. But I suppose the real answer is you need to pay a lot of attention to your people, to the way they think and the way they act. And your people is not just people on carrying out the work, it's also the leaders. And that's where I see a lot of need to change the way people think, is that at the leadership level of people really understanding what does it mean for us to move from a mass production style of working to a lean production style of working.
And is that the reason you wrote this book?
Well, it is, yes. There are a couple of reasons. One was obviously being involved with the Lean IT Association. I was privileged to write to the publications that are part of the certification. And these publications are neat standalone documents. They're very nice. They help you to understand the material you need to know to pass the exam, which is great. But they should also tell a story. And the story that they should tell is the one that I've now written down and tried to put in a chronological order of, well, what does it mean to actually transform your organization? The first part is really goes into depth as to why you need to transform. Right. And as I said earlier, it's about that transition from mass production to lean production within within the IT industry. And that is really the reason why people need to make the step. The next phase of the book is about, well, starting out. You know, we see what other people have done. Maybe they're using Scrum, maybe they're using visual management, maybe they're solving problems, and you're seeing what other companies are doing and think, hey, you know, we can do that as well. And we need to start experimenting, to start understanding what does this do for us. But at the same time, we need to realize you're not transforming at that moment in time. You are simply trying out stuff. You're getting used to the new tools, the new parts of this new world that we're creating. Once you get through that phase and really see, okay, this means hard work, it means learning, it means applying ourselves in a disciplined way to using new principles, that's when the transformation really can start. Transformation is made up of two basic parts. One is transforming your operational teams, and the other is transforming your leadership. And of the two, by far the most difficult is leadership transformation. Because the teams understand. The teams, when you start explaining to them, okay, this is what's necessary, this is what you need to do, they're like, yeah, duh, great, yeah, okay, this is going to make our lives better. And for leaders, it's a lot more difficult. They've been very successful in reaching the position that they've reached with the behaviour that they've shown to reach that position. And now all of a sudden, we've got these teams doing different stuff, and they need to change their way of working. The leaders need to change their way of working to actually match what's going on in the teams. And that is a really huge challenge for a lot of people. But that's okay. I mean, you know, I see a lot of leaders who are actually stepping up to that challenge, and there are others that are still kind of looking, seeing, waiting to see whether it's really going to happen.
Well, I think one of the things I really enjoyed about reading this book is not only do you provide a historical perspective of lean and how it got started. You talk about Toyota production systems. You talk about moving to mass production. You talk about how technology changed and came about and standards started being made. But then you actually bring into detail, I think, about real world issues that are facing businesses today.
Yep.
And one of the things that I love is that not only are you so well entrenched in understanding what's happening in lean, but also with DevOps. And I've heard you say many times that DevOps stands on the shoulder of lean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I stand by that statement. For me, DevOps is the ultimate search for flow. Now, flow is a lean principle. It's about ensuring that we deliver the value that our customers are looking for as quickly as possible, with as little waste as possible, as little waiting time, as little rework as we possibly can. So that concept of flow is very important. Now, what do we do in the world of DevOps? We apply automation to our processes, to our IT processes, to make sure that they deliver high quality products as quickly as possible, well tested, and make sure that they get into the production environment in the right way so that our customers can derive value from them. One of the other aspects is in DevOps, we create teams, multidisciplinary teams, including dev people and ops people. Why do we do that? Well, to increase the flow of value.
Right.
That's the way we do it. We shorten our processes by bringing these people together. They don't need to do handovers across big walls anymore. They're in the room together doing the stuff. The interesting thing about automation is that as IT organizations, we've spent the best part of 50 years automating business processes,
Right.
and we've completely ignored ourselves as IT organizations. And now, in fact, for the last, I suppose, 5 to 10 years, we've suddenly realized that there's this whole world that needs to be automated that we haven't looked at properly before.
Right.
You know, previously, we had our ITIL processes, which are still valid today. We still solve incidents, we still carry out changes, we still do problem management, these kind of things. We still do this stuff in DevOps teams, but we now need to automate that.
Right.
We need to support ourselves better so that we can deliver our value more quickly.
Yeah. And that's what I like in the book. In the book, you talk a lot about things that some people may not be aware of. You talk about just in time and JDUCO and waste and reducing waste and the different elements of waste. But you also talk about people and organizational culture.
Yep.
And we see the same thing in DevOps today.
Yep.
Culture, back I think in the Lean movement, where they were saying, go see, ask why, show respect. You know, understand what's happening with the people on the ground. And DevOps seems to be the same, driven by the organizational culture that's going on in companies today.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's the basis for everything. Is the see performance. When we're looking at performance, it's basically two very basic things. It's the result you achieve based on the behavior you showed to get to that result, and that within a context. That's all performance is about. So if you want a high performance organization, you're going to have to look at behavior first, together with the context, and then you will see why you are or are not getting the results that you're looking for. So even using a word like culture is almost too big. Bring it back to the very simple things that is people doing stuff and saying stuff on a daily basis,
Right.
whether you're in an operational team or whether you're a leader.
Right.
It's what you do and say and what's visible. It's not about your intentions or anything like that. It's about what you do and say.
So Niels, the other thing that I see happening in the market with these digital business models and people needing to change the way that they've always worked is that people think if you pull a programmer, if you pull an IT person, if you pull a developer, you say go do DevOps or go do Lean, that they can do it. They don't even speak the same language.
Well, I think this is a great point, because a great example of this is that in a lean environment, lean agile DevOps environment, we need to solve problems. We need to be focused on making sure that we're solving problems. And the classic thing that happens is you're bringing in these people, you're saying, okay, well, we've got a problem with a particular service. And the first thing that happens is they do two things. They start pointing at each other in terms of it's not my technology that's not working, it's your bit that's not working. And the other thing they do is they start throwing solutions at each other. And this is one of the things I've tried to describe in substantial detail in part 5 of the book, is we need to take our problem solving more seriously. we need to have a common process, a common way of solving problems, so that when we get into a room together to talk about a particular problem, that we're using the same process and that we know that process. So we're talking the same language. We're going through the same steps to get to that solution. And yes, great. At a technological level, the team members talking to each other, fine. But it also counts at a leadership level.
Right.
We're seeing so many leadership problems, policy-based things that we've thought up 10 years ago, policies that have been in place for I don't know, 10, 15 years. We don't even know why they're there anymore. But they're causing impediments. They're causing work to stop flowing through the organization because the work has to go to somebody or by somebody or via somebody or whatever. And we need to look at how we're going to actually solve those problems better as well. And what I see is that too few leaders actually understand a common problem-solving method, so they're not solving problems effectively either. They're mostly the solution to a problem is, well, let's throw some more warm bodies at it if we've got the budget, or else it's, well, we don't have the budget. See what you can do. Good luck.
So how do we get the leadership to change? And I know in the book you talk about it. You have the section on leaders and teams.
Yep.
But in your opinion, how do leaders also come on? Because people think leaders are leaders. They know what they're doing. But leaders also need to grow and learn and adapt to change.
Yep.
Yes?
Absolutely. Our current leaders have got to their position by being successful with particular behaviors. Unfortunately, the behaviors that are required for the whole organization to be successful based on lean principles are different. They need to start acting differently. And I found that working with teams can be a relatively short and intense thing. With leaders, it needs to be a long, for lack of a better description, it's a war of attrition. It's day in, day out, coaching them on what are the things you should be doing and what are the things you shouldn't be doing. And I think that's where the leadership transformation is a substantially different one to the team transformation. Teams will be able to, once they've learned a number of skills, they'll kind of come together and find their way using these skills, especially if they get some attention from leaders and that they get some encouragement from their leaders. But the biggest encouragement is when the teams see their leaders doing different things. So see them doing the lean stuff, like go see, ask why, show respect.
Sure.
Do the Gemba walk. Use the visual management effectively. Don't ask for an additional report when you can see the status of things on the wall. These kind of things.
And so those teams are made of people. Are they your future leaders?
I certainly hope so. Yes, I certainly part of those people, say 10 to 15% of those people will be the leaders of the future. And I just hope that they get the opportunity to move up through the ranks more quickly. Otherwise, it's going to be we'll need a generation to get a lean leadership pyramid on our organization, which is not. It's going to take too long, and those organizations will fail.
But it seems like when lean was being rolled out in the automotive sector and the manufacturing sector, it seemed to happen really fast. Why is it taking so much longer with IT?
I don't think it is. I think if you look at manufacturing, it's taken a long time as well. I think there are some. If you look at the automotive world, it's taken a fair old time to get lean rolled out, and it's lean particularly in the production facilities. I don't know whether the leadership teams in automotive are that lean, but that doesn't matter. They are thinking in a more lean manner, and it has taken a long time. For us within IT, I wouldn't beat us up too hard. We've been at it for maybe 10 years now. I think it's gone quite quickly, and it's going more quickly, and people are seeing it happen, and there are more and more people who are interested in using Lean Agile DevOps as a method to help them to transform their organizations to high performance.
But they actually have to do that now, right? Because there's a big threat that's happening based on all these new technologies and the fact that you and I use our mobile devices that pretty much manage our lives and our homes and everything we do, our financials, everything that we do, the way we drive with our maps. So they have to, but it seems like for some folks it's really hard to turn that huge tanker ship to become more lean, agile, and adopt DevOps ways of working.
Yeah.
Being in this business and knowing both sides so well, what do you feel is the biggest opportunity for organizations and the biggest threat?
I think let's start with the threat. I think the threat is not taking this development seriously. We have seen a lot of management fads in the last years. There have been loads of them, and I think a number of them have actually been precursors to this move to lean. But because we've had so many fads, it is tempting to think that this is another fad, and unfortunately, it's not.
It's not.
You've got to take this one seriously. This move from mass production to lean production in the IT industry is a real move. It is a real thing that's happening and will cause real victims.
Yes.
Because there will be organizations that cannot move quickly enough and will fail. And we're seeing this in the retail area. There are retailers who are moving very quickly with DevOps. See, companies like Target are doing a great job. And there are others who are lagging behind.
Yes.
And they are becoming the victims.
I've seen it from my home country, companies that I never would thought got out of business. Toys R Us. Toys R Us, really? I mean, Sears. I mean, we are seeing it, and it's happening today. I think that what I really love about the book is not only the name, the Lean IT Expert, but the fact that you take the reader through all of the different stages. And after you've read the book, you really understand how to possibly get started and how to go back into your organization and say to your boss, I read this book. Or say to your teams, there's a fabulous book that kind of really sets the stage for how we got to where we are today and why it's incredibly important that we do different things.
Yeah, I called it the Lean IT Expert, which maybe not be the snappiest title you could think of, but there is a kind of message behind it, and that is that everyone working within an IT organization will need to become a Lean IT expert. Now, does that mean that everybody needs to go through all the training and do all the stuff and become this Lean IT expert? Well, no, it doesn't quite work like that. We will learn a lot from what other people are doing.
Right.
So, for example, for problem solving, I would say that maybe you need to train up 5 to 10% of your population in how to manage a Kaizen properly. How to encourage people to do problem solving, both simply and extensive, deep problem solving.
Right.
And what I've seen is that a lot of the team members are just learning by being involved in these things. So they haven't been trained up. Yeah, they've had a 1 hour explanation of what we're going to do.
Right.
They experience it 2-3 times, and they know how to do it. And it's the same thing counts for the foundational kind of stuff. So do you understand your lean principles? Well, if people around you talk about the lean principles the whole time and act accordingly, especially if leaders take the lead in doing that, then people will learn that as well. So it may be a thick book, but you don't have to read all of it.
Right.
You can focus on a couple of bits, or you can get different people focusing on different bits and showing each other what you need to do.
Yeah.
And in that way, you will generate lean IT experts without going through the whole pain of everybody having to read this book.
Right. And it's also sharing and that real on-the-job experience by doing.
Yep.
And that's what I really love about that go see, ask why, show respect.
Yep.
You're learning from, you're understanding exactly what's happening out there.
Yep. Yeah, and I think the in that respect, the show respect bit is a very important message for everybody, and particularly leaders in an IT organization or in an organization moving towards lean, is really focus on getting the best out of your people. It's about changing your worldview of people, of seeing them not as a cost or something that you need to get rid of. It's about seeing the potential, using the potential, and making sure that you use that potential to deliver more value to your customers, because that's what it's about. That's what will create the growth in your organization. And that's what will cause you not to have to lay off people, because you sell so much that the people who you have are the people you need.
Right.
Rather than saying, well, our business is stagnating, we need to get rid of people. No, tackle your industry and say, okay, well, how am I going to deliver more value? There's a car insurance company that I've been working in. They've grown 50% over the last 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, hang on, but this is a dead market. This is a market that isn't doing anything. It's this kind of thinking of gaining, delivering more value to customers with the same people.
Well, that's what I always say. I believe the innovators changed us, right? When you think of the Amazons and the Googles and the Netflixes out there, they have been really, I think, building these digital business models, and the big banks have been building these digital business models that bring real value to us. We enjoy the fact that they bring out services that actually we didn't know we wanted until they delivered it to us, and it delights us, and the business models work. It's when they don't work that the wrath of the consumers, people like you and I, make decisions that we no longer want their app.
Yep.
And that's when they're threatened. So I think as consumers, we're really knowledgeable about what we want and don't want in this digital world. But I think as businesses, they really need to understand that bringing real value to the services that they give us are important. And I believe that books like this that help individuals really understand not only the historical aspects of how you can become lean and the different tools that are available to you, it's very powerful. And I think everyone out there should take this book and read this book. Thank you, Mr. Loader. I didn't know how to stop it, because we could sit here the rest of the day.
Yeah. One message I hope you've taken away from the above description of the development of industries is that the move to lean production is not a fad, management toy, or something that will blow over. If you believe that the transition to lean production is a whim, you are likely to end up not being one of the survivors.
Oh.